Hello, this is John from caveofprogramming.com, and this is just a little tutorial about what to do with jar files if you want to use some kind of external API in a jar file that you've downloaded, or if you've got code that you put in a jar file yourself and you want to use it in your project. The question is, where do you put that jar file? And the answer is pretty simple, so I'm not going to go through a huge example, I'm just going to briefly explain. In order to get your project to compile, you have to do what you have to do for any Java project. It's like right click your project, go to build path, configure build path, and let's get rid of that, and go to, if the jar is within your project, go to add jars. If it's in your project folder, or if it's somewhere else, go to add external jars and just browse to it. And once you've done that, you'll be able to compile your project, but you won't actually be able to run it. And to actually run it, to actually access the jar file when your project is running, you need to put it in one of two places. Firstly, if you have access to your server, to Tomcat's directories, and you want that jar file to be available for all projects, then just put that file in your Tomcat lib folder. So if you go to your Tomcat folder, it'll have the installation directory will have a subfolder called lib, and put your jar in there. And as long as it's in there, you'll be able to run it either by starting up your server and going to the appropriate URL, or by running it here in Eclipse using the green run button. Either way, as long as the jar's in the lib folder, you're fine. On the other hand, if you don't have access to your server's lib folder, or if you just want that jar to be available for one particular project, put it in the web content webinf lib folder of your project. So and you can paste directly into that folder in Eclipse. If you copy a jar file on your disk, you can just paste it in there. Or of course you can just browse to the project location on your disk. Like if I right click and go to properties and go to resource, we can see here that my folder is located here. And if you just go to that and go to the the web content webinf lib folder of your project, you can just paste jar files in there. So I've got one called cave.jar that I did as a test in there. So that's it's basically just two possibilities. So firstly, link your jar file in the normal way to your project with the build path, and then either put it in your webinf lib directory or put it in the lib directory of your server. And if it's in webinf lib, when you create a WAR file, it will be included with that WAR file, and when you deploy it to your application server on the internet, wherever that is, it will be able to access this jar file automatically. So that's it for this tutorial, and we're going to get on soon to looking at JSTL and other topics. So join me again next time, and until next time, happy coding.